Hello, boys and girls. Hannah Baker here, live and in the stereo. No return engagements, no encore, and this time, absolutely no requests. I hope you're ready, because I'm about to tell you the story of my life. More specifically, why my life ended. And if you're listening to these tapes, you're one of the reasons why. I'm not saying which tape brings you into the story, but fear not. If you've received this lovely little box, your name will pop up, I promise. Now why would the dead girl lie? Hey, that sounds like a joke. Why would that girl lie? Answer: because she can't stand up. Go ahead, laugh. Oh well, I thought it was funny. The rules are pretty simple. There are only two. Rule number one, you listen. Number two, you pass it on. Hopefully neither one will be easy for you. When you're done listening to all 13 sides, because there is 13 sides to every story, rewind the tapes, put them back in the box, and pass them on to whoever follows your little tale. And you, lucky number 13, well, you can take the tapes straight to hell, depending on your religion. Maybe I'll see you there. In case you're tempted to break the rules, understand that I did make a copy of these tapes. Those tapes will be released in a very public manner if this package doesn't make it through all of you. This was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Do not take me for granted again. You're being watched. I almost forgot. If you're on my list, you should have received a map. Throughout the tapes, I'll be mentioning several spots around our beloved city for you to visit. I can't force you to go there, but if you'd like a little more insight, just head for the stars. Or, if you'd like, just throw the maps away and I'll never know. Or maybe I will. I'm not actually sure how this whole dead thing works. Who knows? Maybe I'm standing right behind you right now. I'm sorry, that wasn't fair. Ready, Mr. Foley? Justin, honey, you were my very first kiss, my very first hand to hold. But you were nothing more than an average guy, and I don't say that to be mean. I don't. There was just something about you that made me need to be your girlfriend. To this day, I don't know exactly what that was. But it was there, and it was amazingly strong. You don't know this, but 2 years ago, when I was a freshman and you were a sophomore, I used to follow you around. For sixth period, I worked in the attendance office, so I knew every one of your classes. I even photocopied your schedule, which I'm sure I still have somewhere. And when they go through my belongings, they'll probably toss it away thinking a freshman crush had no relevance. But does it? For me, yes, it does. I went back as far as you to find an introduction to my story, and this really is where it begins. When you reach the end of these tapes, Justin, I hope you'll understand your role in all of this, because it may seem like a small role now, but it matters. In the end, everything matters. Betrayal. It's one of the worst feelings. I know you didn't mean to let me down. In fact, most of you listening probably had no idea what you were doing, what you were truly doing. Our first red star can be found at C4. Take your finger over to the C and drop down to 4. That's right, like Battleship. When you're done with this tape, you should go there. We only lived in the house a short while, the summer before my freshman year, but it's where we lived when we first came to town. And it's where I first saw you, Justin. Maybe you remember. You were in love with my friend Kat. School was still 2 months away, and Kat was the only person I knew because she lived right next door. She told me you were all over her the previous year. Not literally all over her, just staring and accidentally bumping into her in the halls. I mean, those were accidents, right? Kat told me that at the end of school dance, you finally found the nerve to do more than stare and bump into her. The two of you danced every slow song, and soon she told me she was going to let you kiss her. The very first kiss of her life. What an honor! I wanted to see what you looked like. Justin. So we called you from my house and told you to come over. We called from my house because Kat didn't want you to know where she lived. Well, not yet. Even though her house was right next to the door to mine. We were playing ball. I don't know if it was basketball, baseball, or what. But you can't come over until later, so we waited. We sat in the front bay window talking for hours. Then all of a sudden, you and your friend, hi Zach, came walking up the street. 2 streets meet in front of my house, like an upside T, so you were walking up the middle of the road towards us. You stepped out of the gutter and planted 1 foot on the lawn. My dad had the sprinklers running all morning, so the grass was wet and your foot slid forward, sent you into a split. Zach had been staring at the window, trying to get a better view of Kat's new friend, yours truly. And he tripped over you, landing beside you on the curb. You pushed him off and stood up. Then he stood up, and you both looked at each other, not sure what to do. And your decision? You ran back down the street, while Kat and I laughed like crazy in the window. Kat moved away before the start of school, and I fell in love with the boy she left behind. And it wasn't long until that boy started showing an interest in me, which might have had something to do with the fact that I seemed to always be around. We didn't share any classes, but our classes for periods 1, 4, and 5 were at least close to each other. Okay, so period 5 was a stretch, and sometimes I wouldn't get there until after you'd left. But periods 1 and 4 were at least in the same hall. After a while, I managed to say hello, and a little while later, you managed to say it back. Then one day, I walked by you without saying a word. I knew you couldn't handle that. It led to our very first multi-word conversation. Hey, you said. Aren't you going to say hello? I smiled, took a breath, then turned around. Why should I? Because you always say hello. I asked why you thought you were such an expert on me. I said you probably didn't know anything about me. Earlier, when I asked my mom how to get a boy's attention, she said, play hard to get. So that's what I was doing. And sure enough, it worked. You started hanging around my classes waiting for me. It seemed like weeks went by before you finally asked for my number. But I knew you eventually would. So I practiced saying it out loud. Real calm and confident, like I didn't really care. Like I gave it out to 100 times a day. Yes, boys at my old school had asked for my number. But here, at my new school, you were the first. No, that's not true. But you were the first to actually get my number. It's not that I didn't want to give it out before. I was just cautious. New town, new school. And this time, I was going to be in control of how people saw me. After all, how often do you get a second chance? Before you, Justin, whenever anyone asked, I'd say all the right numbers up until the very last one. And I'd get scared and mess up, sort of accidentally on purpose. I was getting way too excited watching you write down my number. Luckily, you were way too nervous to notice. When I finally spat out the last number, the correct number, I smiled so big. Meanwhile, your hand was shaking so badly that I thought you were going to screw it up. And I was not going to let that happen. I pointed at the number you were writing. That should be a 7, I said. It is a 7. Oh, well, as long as you know it's a 7. I do, you said. But you scratched it out anyway and made an even shakier 7. I stretched a cuff of my sleeve into my palm and almost reached over to wipe the sweat from your forehead. Something my mother would have done. But thankfully, I didn't do that. You never would have asked another girl for her number again. By the time I got home, you'd already called. Twice. My mom asked who you were, and I said we had a class together. We were probably just calling with a homework question. And she said that's exactly what you had to tell her. I couldn't believe it. Justin, you lied to my mom. So why did that make me so happy? Because our lives matched? It was a sign? My mom asked what class we had, and I said math. Which wasn't a total lie. We both had math. Just not together and not in the same type. Good. Mom said. That's what he told me. I accused her of not trusting her own daughter, grabbed a slip of paper with your number from her hand, and ran upstairs. When you answered the phone, I said, Justin, it's Hannah. My mom said you called with a math problem. You were confused. But eventually, you remembered lying to my mom, and, like a good boy, you apologized. So, Justin, what's the math problem? I asked. You weren't getting off that easy. And you didn't miss a beat. You told me train A was leaving your house at 3:45 p.m., train B leaving my house 10 minutes later. You couldn't see this, Justin, but I actually raised my hand like I was in school rather than sitting on the edge of my bed. Pick me, Mr. Foley. Pick me, I said. I know the answer. When you called my name, yes, Miss Baker, I threw Mom's hard-to-get rule right out the window. I told you 2 trains met at Easton Park at the bottom of the rocket slide. A long pause at your end of the line, Justin. I mean a long pause. So when did the trains meet? I asked. You asked. 15 minutes, I said. You said 15 minutes seemed awfully slow for 2 trains going full speed. I know what you're really all thinking. Hannah Baker is a slut. Oops, did you catch that? I said Hannah Baker is. Can't say that anymore. Wrong. Hannah Baker is not, and never was, a slut. Which begs the question, what have you heard? I simply wanted a kiss. I was a freshman girl who had never been kissed. Never. But I liked a boy. He liked me, and I was going to kiss him. That's the whole story. The whole story. Right there. The few nights leading up to our meeting in the park, I had the same dream. Exactly the same dream. From beginning to end. And for your listening pleasure, here it is. First, a little background. My old town had a park, similar to Eisenhower Park. In one way, they both had the rocket ship. I'm sure it was made by the same company because they looked identical. A red nose points to the sky. Metal bars run from the nose all the way down to green fins holding the ship of the ground. Between the nose and the fins are 3 platforms connected by 3 ladders. On the top level is a steering wheel. On the mid-level is a slide that leads down to the playground. On many nights leading up to my first day of school here, I climbed to the top of the rocket and let my head fall back against the steering wheel. The night breeze blowing through the bars calmed me. I just closed my eyes and think of home. I think that's the reason. In my dreams, my first kiss took place at the rocket ship. It reminded me of innocence, and I wanted my first kiss to be just that, innocent. So back to my dream, which started the day you began waiting outside my classroom door, the day I knew you liked me. The dream starts with me at the top of the rocket, holding on to the steering wheel. It's still a playground rocket, not a real one. But every time I turn the wheel to the left, the trees on the ground lift up their roots and sidestep to the left. When I turn the wheel to the right, they sidestep to the right. Then I hear your voice calling up from the ground, Hannah, Hannah, stop playing with the trees and come see me. So I leave the steering wheel and climb through the hole to the platform. When I reach to the next platform, my feet have grown so huge that they won't fit through the hole. I poke my head through the bars and shout, my feet are too big, do you still want me to come down? I love big feet, you shout back. Come down the slide and see me, I'll catch you. So I sit in the slide and push off, but the wind resistance on my feet makes me go so slow. The time it takes me to reach the bottom of the slide, I've noticed that your feet are extremely small, almost non-existent. You walk to the end of the slide with your arms out, ready to catch me, and when you know it, when I jump off, my huge feet don't step on your little feet. See? We were made for each other, you say. Then you lean in to kiss me, your lips getting closer and closer, and I wake up. Every night for a week, I woke up in the exact same about-to-be-kissed spot. But now, Justin, I would finally be meeting you. At the park, at the bottom of that slide. And damn it, You were going to kiss the hell out of me, whether you liked it or not. I told you to meet me there in 15 minutes. Of course, I only said that to make sure I got there before you. By the time you walked into the park, I wanted to be inside that rocket, and all the way up, just like in my dream. And that's how it happened. Minus the dancing trees and the funky feet. From my viewpoint at the top of the rocket, I saw you come in at the far end of the park. You checked your watch every few steps and walked over to the slide, looking all around but never up. So I spun the steering wheel as hard as I could to make it rattle. You took a step back, looked up, and called my name. But don't worry, even though I wanted to live out my dream, I didn't expect you to know every single line and tell me to stop playing with the trees and come down. Be right down, I said. You told me to stop. You climbed up where I was. So I shouted back, no, let me make the slide. Then you responded those magical dream-like words, I'll catch you. I couldn't help smiling as I climbed down the top ladder. I sat myself on the slide, my heart racing. This was it. All my friends back home had their first kiss in middle school. Mine was waiting for me at the bottom of the slide, exactly as I wanted it. All I had to do was push off, and I did. I knew it didn't really happen like this, but when I look back, it all happens in slow motion. The push, the slide, my hair flying behind me, you raising your arms to catch me raising mine so you could. So when did you decide to kiss me, Justin? Was it during your walk to the park, or did it simply happen when I slid into your arms? Okay, who out there wants to know my very first thought during my very first kiss? Here it is. Somebody's been eating chili dogs. I'm sorry, it wasn't that bad, but it was the first thing I thought. I was so anxious about what kind of kiss it would be, because my friends back home described so many types, and it turned out to be the beautiful kind. You didn't shove your tongue down my throat. You didn't grab my butt. We just held our lips together and kissed. And that's it. Wait. Stop. Don't rewind. There's no need to go back because you didn't miss a thing. Let me repeat myself. That is all that happened. Why? Did you hear something else? Well, you're right. Something did happen. Justin grabbed my hand. We walked over to the swings, and we swung. Then he kissed me again the very same way. Then? And then, Hannah? What happened then? Then, we left. He went one way, I went the other. Oh, so sorry. You wanted to hear something sexier, didn't you? You wanted to hear how my itchy little finger started playing with his zipper. You wanted to hear? Well, what did you want to hear? Because I heard so many stories and I don't know which one is the most popular. But I do know which one is the least popular. The truth. Now, the truth is one thing you won't forget. So thank you, Justin. Sincerely. My very first kiss was wonderful. And for the month or so that we lasted, and everywhere that we went, the kisses were wonderful. You were wonderful. But then you started bragging. A week went by and I heard nothing. But eventually, as they always will, the rumors reached me. And everyone knows you can't disapprove a rumor. I know. I know what you're thinking. As I was telling the story, I was thinking the same thing myself. A kiss? A rumor based on a kiss made you do this to yourself? No. A rumor based on a kiss ruined a memory that I hoped would be special. A rumor based on a kiss started a reputation that other people believed in and reacted to. And sometimes, a rumor based on a kiss has a snowball effect. A rumor based on a kiss is just the beginning. And turn the table over for more. And Justin, honey, stick around. You're not going to believe where your name pops up next.